Welcome to News with a View, a Fat Cat production, hosted by me, John A. Costa. Today is May 31st, 2025, and this is episode 72. A nice Saturday here in South Carolina. And we're working on many projects at the same time. It's always a bad thing for me. One of the projects that is coming along nicely is the new web page. The current web page that we have is very obsolete. It's not even obsolete, it's just not functioning right. And I'm in the process of moving it over and starting a whole new website. Still will be fatcatproduction.com will be the site to go to. And very shortly rolling out a heavy campaign in the next 3 weeks. From June 7th through about the 15th or 16th, I won't have any shows going. There's just too much going on. I really am going to have to cease what I'm doing unless there's something so traumatic or dramatic out there that needs to be, talked about and addressed. And hopefully it will be a quiet beginning of June, and then roll into mid, and at the end of June I'll start major production again. Might do some quickies, don't know, looking at it. We'll see how that works out. All right. Today's topics, again, will be Justice Brown, her feelings on what she called the botched ruling on TPS, parolee. So we're going to look at that again. Trump administration suspends job training for low-income youth. This one I just thought was funny, but hacker who beamed AI images of Trump kissing Elon Musk's feet was working during taxpayer-funded union time, report claims. So that's the one I'm going to have lots of fun with because I thought it was pretty funny. China hits back after Trump claims it's violated, that it had violated the tariff truce. So Trump is saying that China is not fulfilling their end of the bargain. We'll talk about that. And in an interesting post, the Syrian Kurdish commander says groups in direct contact with Turkey, and they're open to establishing some type of ties with Israel. So that's good news on the Syrian front. We'll see how that all works out. But, once Syria lost, and I'll go into that. I don't want to do that. So getting way ahead of myself and starting from the end of the book. And that is bad. All right. So, Justice Brown and one other justice said that, again, that the ending of TPS and parolee status was wrong. She thinks that the justices got that wrong. The court had plainly botched the assessment today. It requires next to nothing from the government with respect to irreparable harm, Jackson wrote in the dissent, and it undervalues the devastating consequences of allowing a government to precipitously upend the lives of and livelihood of nearly 500,000 non-citizens while their legal claims are pending. All right, now I'm going to go into my favorite camera. And just so you know, that's camera 1, camera 2. A little backwards, but my show. Justice Jackson has it totally backwards. The government should never have allowed these people in here to have their lives upended. Their lives were upended when they left wherever they left with no guarantees of where they were going to finally rest their heads. So the idea that our government, meaning right now Trump, is upending their lives. No, I'm sorry. A lot of these people came over and they weren't under TPS. It was a one size fit all. The government did not fulfill its obligation. A lot of these people were given that status after they've already entered illegally. Or just said, fill out this paperwork. Just fill this out. Off you go. And there was, not everyone. I'm not saying everyone here. But there's no way for the current administration to figure out who's here. How? Why? And then using TPS and using the parolee, which where the people that were doing this never had the right to do it. Now, the president could executive order things through the executive branch, and Trump can come in and countermand those. It's not law. It's an executive order inside the executive branch, and they could be countermanded. They could be eliminated or expanded on by the next president, or removed. So this went to the court, and it should never have even gone there, because you're trying to take an act that Department of Homeland Security enacted, where they weren't allowed to do that. They did not have the power to do that. Hence, you can't. And the real disruption came from the government allowing, meaning the government then, Obama, the government of Biden, then allowing these people into the country. It's a bad scene. As I said, the people that I feel the most sorry for are the Cubans. Because we weren't able to help them. It isn't like in, Haitians, where we were sending in money and we were sending in charities, and, what happened to all the money that the Clinton had in their charities that went over to the Haitians? Where'd that go? Venezuela is our enemy, and Nicaragua was basically our enemy. Their governments actively sought to undermine us. Of course, Cuba, has been an enemy of the United States, since the 1959. So, that Justice Sotomayor was the other justice who was, against this happening. So those were the two dissenters, which is not surprising. Anything to help the non-citizens seemed to be where the Democrats are really heading to. And I know she says this isn't, they know they're non-citizens. I mean, they recognized it in their own writing that these are non-citizens. But still, they get the protection by coming here illegally. No, you can't. That can't work. That's crazy, crazy logic. And you can't take something that is illegal and then make it legal and then want to follow a legal path on it. No, it was built on illegal activities. Can't have it. Can't have it. And this is the price we pay for not standing up and not shouting and screaming. And really, the American people should have gone to the streets. But that's not what we do, because most Americans are more concerned, really, I got to work, I got to put a roof over my head, I got family, I got responsibilities. So it wasn't a botched Supreme Court ruling, because the law didn't allow immigration law, and the Constitution didn't allow the head, Majorca, the power to do what they did. Nope. So, all right. Outrage after Trump administration suspends training program for low-income youth. The Department of Labor announced on Thursday it would suspend operations of the Job Corps training program, prompting a bipartisan criticism. Now, the criticism came from some people that I would not say were, the rhinos, just to put it that way. But still, there was criticism from the right and the left. The Department of Labor announced a shift on Thursday, saying it reflects the administration's commitment to ensure federal workforce investment delivers meaningful results for both students and taxpayers. It argued that the program created in 1964 to offer free residential education and job training to low-income teens and young adults was delivering poor results. And the people that are complaining about the ending of it, the department should have had attempted to fix these problems, but instead of working with the contractors and helping students, they decided to send the students home. Well, The problem didn't arise itself in 135 days, folks. This has been a problem that's been there. And the people making the money were the schools, the training schools, that, if you're poor, you can come in and get training. And I kind of liked that idea, but they were just sending people in there, and the people would go in there, and they weren't turning them out. They were collecting the money, and no one was looking at the end product. The government would pay for 100 students to become welders, and none of them were becoming welders. None of them were working jobs. None of them were showing up. And the schools were collecting money. So if you were getting a 20% return on your, you're putting 100% in and only getting 20% back, you're not going to continue doing that. Not everyone is going to succeed. Not everyone is going to be able to do the job. Not everyone is capable of it. But, given a chance and given training, maybe they could find some other type of employment. But that wasn't even the case here. So the money was being wasted. These were wasted programs that had good intentions. We know what path that takes. The program failed, but there was no one there to say stop, and they just kept shoving money out the door because they created a machine that must be fed. And Doge saying no, this was not achieving anywhere near the goals that it was intended to. And 1964 to now is a long time. So in 61 years, they couldn't get it right. Okay? Time to end it. We can't have these programs that don't result in any meaningful outcome. It's not fair to the taxpayers. It's not fair to the students. It's a sham. An absolute sham. And there are students that want to learn, and there are people that go, hey, given the opportunity, I'd love to go and learn air conditioning repair or welding or becoming a plumber or an electrician. At least in the basic understandings where I can go to a place and start as an apprentice, or the guy goes, show me a Stilson wrench. How would you take that apart? What do you call that part? How much water will a half-inch pipe displace with 30 pounds of water pressure behind it, or whatever the calculations are. An electrician, 14 gauge wire, what is the maximum allowed current on? And then, 10 gauge, where would you use a 10 gauge wire? And what fuse would you use on a 10 gauge wire? Or maximum fuse? Not minimum, but the maximum. Though I guess you could say the minimum fuse you would use on that. But you'd have to answer the question. You'd have to know. You might not know every little nuance, but the guy could look at you and go, all right. Yeah. I don't have to show him what a wire is. I don't have to show him what a wire nut is. I don't have to show him what a standard box is, which I forgot. I would mention it. Not a J box, but whatever. I forget now. So many years ago. But this was not getting the results. Ends. So it ends. All right. The second one I enjoy. I really do. The third one on my thing here. Hacker who beamed AI images. And they didn't beam it. Nothing was beamed in. AI images of Trump kissing Elon Musk's feet was working during taxpayer-funded union time, reports claim. So, in this case, the union official who allegedly, because they didn't say who did it, but they're saying it was a union official, could be anyone from a shop steward to a business rep, while on company time and expense. Sometimes you do union work, and inside the contract, the company still has to pay you. So I'll give you an example of that. I'm a shop steward, and I'm doing construction work. And there's a problem, and management says, hey, we need a shop steward here. Union guy's in trouble or whatever. The contract calls that he has representation. You're the shop steward. Stop what you're doing. And you have to start the representation process, whatever. And I still get paid. It isn't like punch out and do it and then punch back in. So apparently what had happened is that someone with some IT knowledge in their closed circuit television loop throughout HUD sent a doctored video of President Trump kissing Elon Musk's feet. No one could figure out how to stop it, so they had to start unplugging television sets and whatnot, and it caused a major disturbance. There was an investigation, and so the officials working for the American Federation of Government Employees, the AFGE, local 476. Yeah, I think a whistleblower who has not been identified told Iowa Senator Johnny Ernest, said that this was done through a union official. Now, you could, and they're saying it was a high-ranking union official. High-ranking to me would be a business rep, not a shop steward. But someone who would have had to have known how to do what they did on the job, which would not be a business rep. A business rep wouldn't be normally doing day to day activity inside the government building unless the office was located there. But I mean, it would be normally not the playground for the union rep. So this had to have been someone maybe up there, but higher than a shop steward, but not a business manager nor a business rep. Don't know. Don't even know if this story is, because no one has been charged. And as such, it's just funny being out there. And I can remember during negotiations, we played dirty tricks to get the company's attention. And one of those dirty tricks that we did, and I can say this because no one got hurt, it wasn't anything horrible, is there was an affiliate luncheon and everyone had nice gold place cards in an envelope, telling them everything that was going on with the network. And we happened to get one of those weeks in advance because the company foolishly used a union printer who got in touch with us and said, hey, fellows, and I think what happened is the company, when they went through it and they got the proofs of it, saw that there was a union bug on the back of something that showed that this was done, and they said, then that has to come off, and we won't take the order. And they go, oh, yeah, fine, we'll take it off. In the meantime, they contacted us. So we had gotten these beautiful, and they were beautiful. They were gold laid. I mean, had to have, of course, the company back then, $6, $7 per of these, and they ordered like 500 of them. So now we took it and went to a printer and said, we want this duplicated, but instead of all the information coming up of what the plans are for the affiliates stations, we put in where the company we were saying was trying to screw the employees. And as such, if we were to go on strike, they're not going to get programming, they're not going to get their sports, they're not going to get other things. And we had infiltrated the restaurant or the arena where this was being held. We took, and we didn't take, we just moved the boxes that they were going to have the people who's setting up put the, say, take those envelopes and put them at every plate and blah, blah, blah around. And we took those boxes and put them somewhere else and put our boxes in its place. And they went out there and did it. And the affiliates got our grievances with the company. And the company went berserk. And, they're screaming, you stole these, we're going to have you arrested. And they're calling the business manager, and the business manager, of course, is feigning, what are you talking about? I don't know. So one of the big wigs in the negotiating side called and, said, all right, you got us. You got our attention. And they asked the business manager, where are these things? We want to get this stuff out to these people. They're still sitting there. This happened in the first 5 minutes. They're there for an hour and a half, dinner and presentation. So the business manager put the phone, and said, listen, I have no idea. I will make some phone calls, but I have no idea. And they were like, well, you better get a hold of your strike committee people. And they go, well, and then the business manager goes, well, now don't start telling me what to do, or this phone call ends right here. So, it flashed up, it flashed down. Now, in the meantime, business manager gets on the horn and goes, where are the boxes? And we said, we don't know, but maybe if I were to hide a box in plain sight, this is where I would do it. And they went over there. They found the boxes, went running out there, took all the cards from everyone. And, the affiliates were laughing and, and boom, 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 boom. They knew what was going on, bam, 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 and everyone got the right cards. But I will tell you that the next month, when we had to have the actual, not just another sit down with the company about the contract negotiations, the company demanded to know, demanded before they would go any further, who the culprits were. And, we told the company, hire detectives. What can I tell you? Now back in those days, they did not have closed circuit televisions, or cameras watching anyone. I mean, they just didn't have that. And they said, well, we're going to show pictures. And we go, oh, I guess you can, if that's what you want to do. But, what is that going to do? And so the company said they were going to cancel the meeting, cancel the negotiations. And, we turned around and said, listen, negotiations are negotiations. It's two parties coming together and talking. If you want to not negotiate, then we will file the appropriate papers with Labor Relations Board saying that you have suspended the negotiations and refused to negotiate with us, at which point we can do a sick out, we can do a lot of things to put the pressure on the company. And, we said that's really ramping it up here. We don't want to go down that road, but we don't know who did this. Could have been your people. It could have been someone on your side of the table that wanted to make us look bad. And then, how dare you, and we go, well, how dare you, sir? And the business managers, and they were from all different locals that we were representing across the country. We had a big meeting, and they said, we have to send 3 people home for a week. And they said, you, and you. And since it all happened in New York, it was the 3 reps from New York. And the business manager would stay. And, we said we protested it. And they said, well, we didn't tell them who. And they go, well, there's only 3 people from New York here without the business manager. And, you're going to make it look like people are going to think I did it. And, they turn around and, well, did you do it? And, I didn't answer. I just looked at him. And I said, well, I did answer. I said, did you do it? We're absolutely not. Well, there you have my answer too. Well, we didn't hear you say it. I don't have to say the moon is in the sky either. And we got sent home for a week. And then we went back. Negotiations for like 3 weeks. And, the company made some innuendos. And we were at a restaurant because we knew where everyone was eating. And we found the menu. And guess what I did? I handed them menus. We had it printed. And told them, enjoy your meals, fellas. And I could remember the head of labor relations just looking, and his head just, plopping down, because now we just tore the scab off. And the head of labor negotiators, the head guy, went nuts. And said, fire that guy, fire that guy, fire that guy. And they go, you can't fire him. Came to a restaurant. We fire him, we're just going to hire him back in a year and have to pay him a year's salary plus. Because it would take a year and a half to get your job back. They'd make it tough. And the next day, everyone came back, calmed down, laughed about it, and said, well. And I said, oh, it was all in good fun. And they said, this is going to be a tough negotiations. We're going to play real hardball with you. And we were like, don't you always? And it was a tough negotiations. That was probably one of the negotiations where it was the closest I thought we were going to go to a strike. And eventually they cooled down, and everyone cooled down. And much later, the years passed, and it was always understood, hey, we're going to have an affiliate meeting. And there better not be any shenanigans. And, we said, we have no idea, what you're talking about. And, what's on the menu? What are you serving this year? And it became a running joke. And even the other side said that was very clever and very tactful. Because you had the affiliates then going to people going, hey, are we going to have a problem? Do I have to anticipate showing, reruns of Gomer Pyle or something, and what's going on? I thought you told us everything was going great with negotiations. So it's interesting on what a union can do, but you have to anticipate the result of what you're going to do. You're going to, like I said, you can go hit a hornet's nest with a stick. And if you don't run, you're going to get stung. And that was one of the what I could remember as funniest things. We also made a cake for William Paley for his birthday. and then during negotiations, and then had a big cake and an American flag and our union flag, and we were handing out pieces of cake for his birthday and stuff. And he was in the building. I mean, he was ancient in the building, and he came out and looked, and he saw all the commotion going on because at that time we had 1,100 members, and he was like, what's going on? Well, it's a union guy. What's going on? And the big banners, happy birthday, William Paley, boom, 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 see, we could have our cake and eat it too, type of thing. And he came out and looked at us and nodded. And I remember that he was young at the time, the head of labor relations, and you could just see, you guys are assholes. But that's what we did. You had to get their attention. And don't think that you can do anything you want with labor, because there's a certain point. And then later on, also, as we got more comfortable with one another, and the people we were dealing with, we developed relations with. And those type of situations didn't happen anymore, because we go, there's no need to. I could walk to your office, say, listen, I'm going to have an off the record. And we all knew that nothing was ever off the record, but it wasn't going to come back thrown in our face. And you're having a problem over here because of a manager, and the manager would then go, I'm having a problem because I'm going to treat everyone because this guy is being a jerk. And we would look and go, well, why didn't you go to the shop steward and go to the steward and go, hey, this guy is being a jerk? And the shop steward might come back and go, listen, I work with this guy day in, day out. I don't want to hurt him. And then they send in one of the reps, and I go, hey, what are you doing? You're going to hurt that guy? You're making that guy look bad. What do you think you're doing? I mean, the company's about ready to toss you out the door, pal. Well, I didn't think I was doing anything that bad. And I go, well, obviously you were. Because I'm here now. And I don't want to be here. There's 100 other places I'd rather be than here with you right now. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you this. And then we're going to go into the office. And that manager has no idea I'm here today. Hey, Mr. Manager. And I knew every one of them. Hey, how's it going? And they're like, we got a little problem that I think we can fix right here and now, and go in there. And then he'd be like, holy crap. Hey, I didn't know I was doing this. Or, I didn't think it was that bad. But, obviously it's that bad, and that ain't going to happen no more. Well, okay, I didn't want to talk. I go, no, you're the manager. That's what your job is there to do. My job is to manage my guys. That's my job. So now we both did our jobs. Now go to the member and go, now it's time you do your job. We have a contract. When the company doesn't hold up their end, we're the first ones to scream. Now you got to hold up our end. They don't scream. They'll just get rid of you. And it's amazing once the company realizes that you're going to play by the book. And when there's problems, and there were problems where the book didn't work for a situation, and we go and listen, you're in the business to put TV shows on and to have the news and have sports. And we're not here to stop you. So let's see what's going on. Oh yeah, we could fix that. We can do that. We'll give you a special dispensation for the next 2 weeks on it, because that's how long the sporting event is. It's golf or whatever. And but our next meeting in June, Right now it's April. We'll discuss this so it doesn't happen again, and we can try to fix it before, but we're not going to have a riot over this. This is just not going to happen. And then, they do it. Everything's wonderful. We go to a meeting, we talk about it, and we fix it. So that there isn't, and we always laugh. We go until the next thing happens. But when you have relationships with a company where they realize that, we're not looking at you as the enemy, because my feeling was the only way I have a job is if the company makes money. And part of that money has to go to shareholders. And part of the money has to go to top management and everyone else that deserves a living wage. And yes, there were people being paid $30 million a year, and people go, is that worth it? I go, well, you're making $100,000 a year, so I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, yeah, that's worth it. So I'm going out on a limb here. And they'd shut them down. And you'd also then show management that we're not using that. We're getting paid. Benefits are good. We got good people. You got good people. We're looking at quality of life issues. If you know there's going to be a snowstorm, don't have me go home. Unless I want to go home. But then you got to take into account I might not be able to get back in. So I'm willing to stay in the city tonight because I got someone shoveling my walk. I got, the kids are going to stay home. The wife has the generator. Everything's going to be good at home. I don't have to worry about that because I took precautions on that. But I might not be able to come in for 2 or 3 days. Railroad's not going to run. This isn't going to happen. But you can put me up in a hotel. I'm not asking you to give me, $80 a day for food or anything like that. I was going to eat at home. Normally I'd go home. So I'll figure out, a meal or two, and we'll figure that out. But it would be nice to be up the street, and then I can come in and work. And then if someone can't come in, you got a body there. And, I might be able to go back to the hotel room, sleep for 4 hours, and then come back. And, don't fight me on doing that when there's storms coming. And the company got into the habit of doing that. Saying, we're going to put you up in hotels, How many guys? Boom, it's over there. You want it. Just let us know what's going on. And then when the bean counters came in, and they stopped doing that. And it wasn't that we were abusing it, but, they just said, well, if you don't come in, we'll just mandate the guys that are here, they got to stay. That's in your contract. And I go, yeah, but you work me 16 hours and then expect me to go home in that snowstorm and then come back here to do my normal shift. I can't do it. Well, that's your job. You have to be here. No. It's not the Army. I could call in sick. I could just not show. And if the trains aren't running, what am I supposed to do? Hike? The roads are closed. So we started to have to deal with that towards the end of my career. And it just became very, very difficult. And eventually they got over that and they fixed it. And, you hate to have to go there. And they go, hey, at this negotiation, you made your point, you did everything, and then you kicked our teeth down our throat. Why? Because I shouldn't have had to make those arguments. And because I did, I had to make sure that I kicked your teeth down your throat. And they would do the same thing back. I mean, it was never one-sided, but that's how this is going to work. They're going to take that guy, and that guy is gone. That guy is gone that did that. Because as good as you think you are, mostly in that type of situation, they only know there's only a few people that were able to make that happen. And it's one of those guys they're going to grab and go, the weakest link. Find the guy that has the sick kid that needs this job. And we'll talk about, hey, you leave here. All right, you'll get your 26 weeks or 30 weeks or 50 weeks. And you might even get your job back fighting it and doing everything because we're going to blame you. I didn't do it. I didn't do nothing. Doesn't matter. You had access to it. You had the ability to do it. You had everything. And by the way, your medical benefits end. Oh, it is not right. I'm going to shut the door now. And we're going to ask you not to have your union rep here. And the union rep could go, I stay here. And they go, fine, great, this meeting ends. We're going to give you notice. We're going to draw up the paperwork. He's fired. Fired. So, you want to represent him now? Take him to your office. Oh, well. No. I don't want my union rep here. All right. And then they sit down and they tell him, hey, listen, I believe that it's not you. I don't want you to tell me who it is. But I'm going to put 5 pieces of paper out here with names on it. And if I see one that's a little higher than the other on the table when I come back in a minute, you didn't tell me nothing. And they come back, that little piece of paper would be up higher, then go, everyone's calmed down now. Go back to your job, relax, call your rep in here, boom, boom. And he'd be screaming. They'd be screaming. I know I would be screaming. And then they go, all right, now we know where to go. Now we know where to go. And the company would do that all the time. You can't imagine what they used to do to people. And I saw people fired. And the company goes, don't care, we can fire them. And we'd go to arbitration, and I think we won one arbitration out of 20. And came to a settlement on another one, but that's it. The company held the cards at arbitration. So, all right, I'm done with the union and my stories and things like that. Schumer, and this is one I didn't talk about. Schumer suffers another defeat. The GOP halts the jet ban. Now, again, this is the 747. And Senator Schumer, Senate Minority Leader, aimed at preventing Donald Trump from using the Qatari jet as a replacement for Air Force One. The legislation known as Presidential Airlift Security Act sought to stop foreign-owned aircraft from serving as presidential transport and ensure taxpayer funds were not used for any retrofitting. Schumer opposed Trump's deal. There was no deal. Number one, and this is what I said, there was no deal. There was no quid pro quo for the aircraft. The aircraft was given to Donald Trump as a gift after he complained to the Qatari officials that, boy, you got a beautiful jet here. Mine's a piece of crap. He goes, really insulting. He goes, this is wonderful. They turned around and they said, it's yours. There was no quid pro quo. There wasn't anything. He goes, hey, yeah, I'll give you Central Park for that airplane. There was nothing like that. Nothing. So Schumer opposed the deal. And again, no deal. Citing national security concerns. Senator Roger Marshall, Republican from Kansas, blocked Schumer's attempt to pass the bill by unanimous consent, a procedure that requires no objections from any senator to proceed. So they took the wind out of Schumer's, Senator Schumer's sails. And I find that funny. And again, this goes to show that the, how much the wasted time the Democrats are wasting. And, there's been articles, and not articles, but you got to watch where there's an opinion, and they put an opinion out there of why aren't the Democrats chomping at President Biden's failures. Well, number one, his failures are few and far. And where he has failed, he's appealing those. And there's a good chance he's going to win that, which he's already has. So the idea of, we're going to go out there and, have a party every time the lower courts stop him from doing something. Yeah, don't start popping those champagne bottles too soon. And this is where I said this about the Democrats. Stop what you're doing. It's all right to criticize. It's all right to say, hey, this is wrong. This is why we think it's wrong. And the president shouldn't do this because a lot of innocent people are going to get hurt. With the immigration, let's use that, and we have to sit down with you and rationally, and we understand you want this done. Mr. President, can you give us 60 days? I know we had forever to do it. I understand that. But can we have 60 days with you and deal with you on this before you make any of these rash decisions? So we can take something that we think can work and is palatable to 48% of America, and then is also acceptable to 52% of America. Before you do this, and before we're forced to take actions and block you, which we don't want to do. We don't want to do that. Can we do that? Can we have 60 days with you? And he might turn around and go, no, you had years. You didn't. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I hold it. I'm going to give you 45 days. But in those 45 days, I don't want you blocking me. I don't want you taking me to court on this. I don't want to hear this stuff. I don't want to hear. On the 46th day, if we can't come to an agreement, You have at it. And every night from 9 o'clock at night till 2 in the morning, you guys can come to my office here and we can meet and we can do this and we can get somewhere. But you gotta promise me. I think that would work. And I think that the Democrats wouldn't be hat in hand, Mr. President, can you? You know, no, I think they would be able to do it. And you get 12 Democrats, 12 Republicans, not the strongest ones, not the weakest ones, but ones where they have self-interests in getting this thing done. That they could then go and go, this is why we should do this. And I think that would be such a win for the president. And maybe a win for some Democrats. But overall, a win for the GOP. And to stop this nonsense that, you know, president is, you know, we're going to fight him on the beaches, on the land. You know, we're not going to. What we're going to do is get things done. That is what the Democrats have to do. If they want any chance of holding on to whatever they got. Because it doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good. All right. Fade out of this camera and go back to here, and I'm going to fade back into it. I just want to make sure my switcher is still working correctly, and it seems to be. All right, the other item, and I'm trying to get this done in an hour and 15 minutes. China hits back after Trump claims it's violating tariff truce. So Trump is saying, and Ambassador Greer is saying, the United States did exactly what it was supposed to do, and the Chinese are slow rolling their compliance, which is completely unacceptable and has to be addressed. Now, if you look at the Chinese, the people, and the government, it's not that they're slow rolling it. We can look at it and say they're slow rolling it. But to the Chinese, they push things very slowly out there and see what happens. They're very deliberate thinkers. And that is their makeup. They see how far they can take things before we start really saying something to them. And Trump sees this as they're testing him. To a certain extent they are, but it's in their nature to do that. So, Greer said when China responded to the U.S. tariff with its own, they also put in place countermeasures, such as putting some U.S. companies on blacklists, restricting exports of rare earth magnets and critical components in cars, aircraft, and semiconductors. Yeah. Yeah. And this is because we don't do any of this crap. We don't build it. We don't have it. We're not allowed to dig. And that's where the EPA, remember the other day, environmental impacts are not gone, but they don't hold the weight that they did. And we need to be able to do mining, and we need to be able to do transports, produce electricity. We need to be able to do that. because China's doing all that. And I'm sorry here, but boy, my eyes are itching today. So we have to be able to compete with that. Now, we'll never be able to compete with China. You just can't. And some of these other countries, you're not going to be able to compete with them. So there has to be something that we can do. And one of those things is don't allow them to produce it to be sold here. Very simple. So many auto parts are counterfeit parts. And you order stuff, hey, I need a O2 sensor for my car. And I go over to AutoZone. And you look at, and a very good brand. Not some knockoff somewhere, but a very good brand. And you bring it and you use it, and the last 2 weeks, I got the same reading back again. And you take it off and you test it and it's bad. And you go back to the store and they go, well, what did you do? And you go, well, it's a Duralast. Give me a new one. Here's the reading. It's not reading right. And they do. They give you a new one, and hopefully that works. Where if you went for a true GM part, instead of paying $67 or $100 for that part at AutoZone, now I got to go to GM and pay $290 for that part. And you go online and you go, hey, I can pick that part up for $19. I'll buy 3 of them. One of them will work. Well, that's all right if you're doing that in your driveway yourself. But that's not going to work for an auto shop who says that car now is back, the customer's unhappy, and now I got to, where I'm getting $125 an hour, I gotta make good. I don't want to do that. So a lot of shops, they will tell you, yeah, that part's $275 and the labor's $250 to put it in, $500 part, $500 job, and you're looking and you go, hey, I can get that part for $22. Well, go ahead, you can. And if you want to do it, go ahead. But we're not using those parts. But what's now happening, a lot of those parts are counterfeit. They think they're buying top-rated parts, and they're not. And it's not the AutoZone or CarQuest or Napa. They're getting scammed too. So it's a major problem. Major problem. And the answer will be that a lot of these manufacturers will put almost like a transponder in the devices that you'll have to serial code it into the car. And if it doesn't see the serial code, it's going to flash warning lights to say, hey, the money light will flash, and you'll have to have software that then could go, I'm installing this part number with this serial number. And the car company will go, that's a valid serial number that came from a valid OEM builder or from them, and then it will work. The car will be happy. But that's the only way it's going to happen. And you'll have, water pump sensors. You'll have all these different sensors on these cars, and which will just make it even more impossible to have a do-it-yourselfer or someone work on the car other than the dealer. So, but China now said that that China's not playing the game, and Greer said he added that the U.S. is closely watching China to make sure it would comply with the deal, and they were very concerned with the progress, meaning that China is just, again, slow rolling it out. See, how serious are they about this? And I think they have a lot of problems internally dealing with this. Trump on Friday said the truth in a Truth Social media post that the tariffs his administration had imposed have been devastating for China, and so he had made a fast deal to save them from what I thought was going to be a very bad situation. Everybody was happy. This is the good news. The bad news is that China, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with the U.S. And so much for being Mr. Nice Guy. So Trump is saying he was Mr. Nice Guy. He saw China was going to have major problems internally, and he goes, listen, that's not what I want. That's not what I'm trying to accomplish here. I'm trying to save our economy and not destroy your economy. But there's got to be some give and take here. So, eyes are going to be on China this week. Let's see what they're going to do. Boy, I don't know what happened here, but that's really bad. So I'm lucky this is the last thing I'm going to talk about. And this came up on, and I don't normally read the Jerusalem Post. Not that it's not a bona fide place to find accurate information. It's just something I didn't do because I'm more interested in stuff that affects you and I. So, but Syrian Kurdish commanders say groups in direct contact with Turkey, and they're open to Israeli ties. So, remember the Kurdish resistance groups that were fighting Turkey over, well, this is our land, not your land, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this goes back, hundreds of years inside Turkey. And Turkey was, the crossroad from the Middle East into Western Europe. So that's how the Constantine Empire. So the commanders said, we've had direct ties, direct channels, and communications with Turkey, as well as through mediators. We hope that these ties are developed. The commander of the Kurdish forces that control northeast Syria said on Friday that his group is in direct contact with Turkey and is open to improving ties, including by meeting Turkish President Erdogan. So I don't think that's going to happen. The public comment represents a significant diplomatic overture by Muazzam Adibi, whose Syrian Democratic Forces fought Turkish troops and Syrian-backed rebels during the Syria's 14 years civil war. Now, Bashir and those guys are now out, even though there is some internal Bashir. So So, um, Abdi denied accusations that the SDF was in contact with Israel. People have accused us of this in the interview. I'm saying publicly that we have no ties with Israel. But he said his group supported good ties with Syria's neighbors. When that was asked, did that include Israel? His response was, with everyone. So this is good news because it ends, or possibly is an end to 40 years of conflict with the Kurdish and Syria and the fighting there. And it might bring peace to Syria, and Israel doesn't have to worry about them. But this is what I was talking about earlier, that by toppling, and really what has really happened is by toppling Iran, all these countries that were being fed money and supplies and support by Iran, that ended. And now Israel can take them apart piece by piece, in which they have done. And Israel had always said, you chop the snake's head off. Whereas Iran said, we're Hydra. Chop one head off, two more come up. No, that's not the case. The snake has been taken care of. Now, I think that Iran would love to get back into the fight, but they are so hobbled by what's going on that they can't. Hutus, we can't even say, hey, we'll bomb them back into the prehistoric times, because really, if they weren't given these weapons by Iran, believe me, this fight wouldn't be going on. All this fighting is because people were given weapons. I guarantee you 80% of the people in Yemen never drove a car. 50% of the people in Iran, probably never saw a refrigerator. Never owned one. But when you give them weapons that put them on par with other countries that have sophisticated weapons, well, those weapons just fire and go. No religion, no politics behind it. It just has one purpose. So this is some good news if Syria is serious and the Syrian Defense Forces are serious about really doing what's right for the people. Israel has its problems, and they'll have to be addressed too. But I think they're heading for peaceful times. Gaza, man, people of Gaza just have to really just grab Hamas, drag them out of their holes, and go, here they are, stop, leave us alone. And I think Israel would be very happy with that. And you have our detractors here that, I mean, just absolutely terrible. Not even talking about a negotiation. They want Israel wiped out. Well, if you're going to try to wipe me out, believe me, my answer is to get you first. And I think Israel has the capability of getting you first. And I don't want these people in America. I don't want these foreigners here stirring up trouble. Get them out. If our people want to protest what's going on with it, do it legally. Don't take over schools. Don't destroy buildings. That's not peaceful protesting. Toss your ass out. What do we have 35-year-old students for? What's that all about? How is that happening? So a lot of questions. Kosh, Patel, let's go. Let's go. Let's go, FBI. I want these people exposed. And we should do it. All right, with that, I'm going to say goodnight. Say a prayer. I know. Prayers work. Give to charities. Donate what you can. Give to food banks. As a matter of fact, we're taking a bunch of stuff over today. Socrates Station in South Carolina, in the Myrtle Beach area, having a food drive for Meals on Wheels Sunday. Spaghetti dinner, meatballs, $10. Games and things for children to do. We plan on being there tomorrow. Maybe their next event, I'll ask if I could go live and do a little thing from there. But that's not what they're... And I don't know if I want to do that. I'm going to do that at the Veterans... the next Veterans thing. But again, I got to have 50 people. And I'm trying to get at least 50 people to watch. You don't have to agree with everything I say. But why wouldn't you? Come on, Bob. Come on. I'm showing you the light, man. Come to the light, Bob. Come to the light. Don't. That was a strange noise. Don't make me hit you, Bob, with beer caps. Because I know it hurt you when I would do that to you. But it hurt me too. I have no idea what that noise is, but I'm going to have to investigate. It doesn't sound good. With that, I'm going to be saying good night. Remember, Socrates Station, Sunday, June 1st, 11:30 to probably about 5 in the afternoon. Come have a good time. And with that, I am going to fade to black.